Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Welcome back to my channel. I am here for an ink swatching video. Now, GouletPens do a birthday coupon where you can redeem this coupon for an 8 sample pack. So it's completely random. And I haven't done it in the past few years just because I'm very picky about what I like to buy. So I don't normally like surprise packs or things like that. But I decided this year, you know, let's do it. And then I'll also add in a few that I want to try out. And then kind of, you know, getting the 8 samples cancels out the shipping cost because shipping to Canada is very expensive. So with the GouletPens haul, it was actually packed very well. And then I got this sticker, which I will definitely put in my Galen leather notebook for my ink journal. I'll place that in there. And then you also get the Tootsie Pop. I remember watching a video about, or a tour of their warehouse, and there's just boxes and boxes of these Tootsie Pops. And then here are the samples. So the 4 that are in here are the ones that I chose to purchase on top of the 8 sample pack. So here are all of the samples, and I'll show you them before I go ahead and swatch. So we've got Colorverse Permanent Black, Noodler's Cactus Fruit Eel. And I have to say that one of the reasons why I haven't really purchased this random sample pack was because I didn't want a whole bunch of Noodler's inks. I've tried Noodler's inks in the past and I didn't really get along well with them. So there was always the risk with ordering from Goulet that there's going to be Noodler's in here. So there's Cactus Fruit Eel. Then we have Pilot Roshizuku Tsukio. There's also the risk that I'm going to get inks that I've already tried. That's okay. Then we have Verde Purple Rain. Then Diamine Autumn Oak. Funny enough, I just bought one of those 30 ml bottles of this, but this will be good to have on hand. And then Diamine One More Sleep, which I've already tried. Then we have Sailor Ink Studio 230. I've not tried that one. And then we have Noodler's Burgundy. And then the 4 that are in here, you know what, I'll show these later. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now, move those to the side, is I've already prepped my ink journal. So this is my Galen Leather, gosh, word screen, a Galen Leather A5 notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. I have that ready. I have my jars of water ready here. I have my Speedball B nib. I'll include a link to this in the description below. And then I have my, oh my gosh, where is it? Oh, here we go. My Kakamori brass nib on my River City Penco nib holder. And can we just, like, that is gorgeous. Love using this. I'll need to purchase another nib holder from Rich really soon. I'm also going to be, I'm probably going to do this off camera, swatching all of these in the different color families, because I actually keep a separate binder folder for all of the different ink families. I will also be swatching, gosh, I'm out of breath, on Rhodia paper, and I will also be swatching on the Wearing Ghoul swatch cards, but I'll do that off camera so this video doesn't take up a ton of time. Let's get started. So the first ink I am swatching is Diamine One More Sleep, and this is from the Ink Vent calendar from 2022, I believe it is. So I already have this, I think it was Corinne, somebody had sent me the Ink Vent bottle of this, and it really is a beautiful ink, but I'm a little disappointed that I'm getting something that I already have. And I mean, I know that that was definitely a risk with getting a random sample pack, is that you're going to get stuff that you already have. And that's why I think in the past I've avoided these, but I thought this year, I'm like, well, if I want to try these brown inks, I'll get the random sample pack since it's my birthday, so why not? So this is Diamine, and it's One More Sleep, and already I have ink on my fingers, but that just seems to be part and parcel of ink swatching. There's going to be ink on the nib holder, therefore there's going to be ink on my fingers. So it's a really, really pretty ink. But yeah, one that I already have in my collection. So I'll do this in that little space that I have here. Perfect. So that is Diamine One More Sleep. Next, we have another ink that I already have in my collection. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio. And again, I have I believe it's a 15 ml bottle of this already, and I really do like Tsukio. It's a great ink. Any Pilot Iroshizuku inks are great, actually. And I love this blue. I feel like it's a bit more of a subdued, I say subdued blue, but more professional blue than Konpeki. So let's dip that. See, this is the thing, the GouletPens samples are 2 ml, so you always have to go a little bit deeper into the sample to get the ink. Therefore, I'm going to get more ink on the nib holder. Therefore, get more ink on me. So Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio. It's a really fantastic ink, and I use this ink as well for testing a lot of my new pens. Yeah, again, disappointed that I have an ink that, or I got an ink that I already have, but again, that's the risk of doing a random sample pack. So that is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio. Next we have Noodler's Cactus Fruit Eel, and I have heard of this ink, but I never went ahead and purchased it or sampled it. I just wasn't interested, but I mean, look at the color of that. Reminds me of Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. And let's see what it looks like here. Yeah, definitely reminds me of Yamabudo. I had at one point really enjoyed, what is the ink that I had? I had really enjoyed Noodler's Australian black, something like that. I cannot remember. Please leave it in the comments. Australian roses? I can't remember for the life of me because it's been so long since I've used those inks. Sorry, I'm doing something off camera at the moment. But it was a really lovely color. I just never really got into the Noodler's inks. There was something I felt that was just a bit inconsistent, but maybe it was just me. So this is Noodler's Cactus Fruit Eel. And yeah, it is a really lovely color. Maybe I'll give it a try in a pen, maybe give it a chance, I don't know. We will see. All right, so that is Noodler's Cactus Fruit Eel. Next we have Sailor Ink Studio 230, and I have never tried this. Actually, I haven't tried a Sailor ink in quite some time. So this will be interesting, and it looks very bright. Ooh, you know what? I may end up keeping this. It might be very good in painting. I don't know if it's something that I would write with on a day-to-day basis, but I think for painting, this would be so fun. So, oh, see, there, would have missed that bit of ink. So, let's do the figure eights and the different line widths. Yeah, that is really pretty. So that is Sailor Ink Studio 230. That is a nice, bright, punchy, orangey coral type of color. Really pretty. Next we have Noodler's Burgundy, another one that I have not yet tried. Goodness gracious. These are screwed on tight. And I do have to say there was no leaking in my package, so I'm actually looking. Is there an O-ring somewhere to prevent that? But yeah, these are just packaged so well and they haven't leaked anywhere, so I'm impressed with that. Interesting. What does this remind me of? Is it like ox blood or writer's blood? A little bit. And I don't know how I feel about this color, really. I don't know if it's a color that I would have necessarily gone for. Yeah, interesting. I'm getting so much ink on my nib holder. Like not the actual nib itself, but on the holder. So this is Noodler's Burgundy. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of either Oxblood, Diamine Oxblood, or Writer's Blood. But let me know what you guys think. I don't know if it's a color I'll keep or pass on. Oh, let's make sure that I can do the line widths here. In the line widths, it looks a little bit more purple than red. Or maybe that's just me. But that's coming off the nib really smoothly, actually. So I don't know, here it looks more red, and then actually now that it's drying, it looks a little bit more red when it's drying like that. That's not too bad, actually. So that is Noodler's Burgundy. Next is a Diamine Autumn Oak, and I actually really, really like this one. To the point where I've purchased one of the small 30 ml bottles from GouletPens, and this is one that I had pretty early on in my fountain pen journey, and then I used it all up, and then I just haven't purchased another one. And this one actually shades really well. I'll let that dry a little bit before I add a second layer. And then it was one of those inks where I just never ended up purchasing another bottle of it again, just because there wasn't any need to at that point. I was accumulating quite a bit, and orange was never one that I really was drawn to. But again, I love using these for paintings because shading is beautiful on this. So this is Diamine Autumn. Oh gosh, autumn is such a fun word to write. But yeah, you can see even some of the shading just even in the line widths here. And I'm gonna do a little bit more in this section here just to get some of that shading. Beautiful. So that is Diamine Autumn Oak. The next ink we have is Verde Purple Rain. Now I have tried this before, I think sometime last year before I set up my new pen and ink journal. So I believe I have this somewhere. So it has been tried before, and it is a beautiful ink, but it's probably one that I will end up giving away. I do have someone local that I can, a couple of people actually local to me I can give this to. But these are fun to swatch anyway. Ink swatching for me is actually really therapeutic. I enjoy being able to swatch the inks. I have in the background on my computer, I have Downton Abbey playing, actually really lightly. You can barely hear it, but it's just something that is really therapeutic. I know Simona said this as well, that she finds, oh gosh, I thought I had gotten all that off. She finds in ink swatching really relaxing and therapeutic. It is a very, very pretty color. But definitely one I've had already before. Will I keep it again? I don't know. I'm one of those people where if I feel like I've explored an ink enough, I leave it or I give it away, things like that, and then that's it. I think for me this might be, I am considering keeping it again or trying it again, but I don't know. I need to be realistic in what is currently in my collection, when I feel like I can use this. And this is actually why I like the Goulet pen samples. They're only 2 mils, so I don't feel like I'm wasting a ton if I buy like a 4 mil sample. So that is Mont Verde Purple. Right next ink is super exciting. It's Colorverse Permanent Black. I didn't know Colorverse had any permanent inks. So this will be interesting. Now, I probably won't use this. It might be my husband, or it may be good for, you know, some fountain pen ink painting, but I don't generally use a lot of black. I try to use color wherever I can. And I'm not the expert when it comes to black inks. I mean, I wouldn't know if, and this is going to sound ridiculous to say, if one ink is blacker than another, or if it has, you know, sheen or anything like that, because I don't really test out black inks. But this, my husband loves black inks in his fountain pens. He has his, I think, 5 pens that he uses, and he prefers black ink, so I might just give this one to him. So this is Colorverse. Gosh, my writing. Permanent Black. Is it gonna be weird for me to just say it's just black? And I mean, you can see a little bit, I say shading going on, which, I mean, it's hard to say that with a black ink, and it's actually really, really sticking to my nib. So I need to wash that quite diligently here to make sure that it all wipes off. Oh, and that's sticking to you. Oh, okay, I can wipe that off my nib pretty well. All right, maybe let's not use that. And even on my speedball, staying there quite a bit. All right, so that is Colorverse Permanent Black, showing off its permanent effects. Next, we have the 4 inks that I decided to pick myself. And when I did my brown ink exploration, there were a lot of you who suggested some brown inks, and I did pick some, you know, 4 that I wanted to try out. The first one being Mont Verde Moonstone. And I didn't want to go too crazy on picking a whole ton of inks. Like, I could have purchased way more, but I decided no. I wanted to be good. I also wanted to be realistic in what I could actually use. So that is Moonstone, and I like that so far. Ooh. I like how that's coming down on the page there. It's more of like, reminds me a little bit of a like Cafe Crema type. It's got more yellow in the brown. So this is, I feel like that's gonna come off way too much here. So Mont Verde Moonstone. Very pretty. And I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that about the brown ink, but I really like it. And thank you for whoever recommended this, because I think it could definitely be used as like an everyday dark ink if you're working, but also it's got a bit of that brown to it, which makes it just that bit more fun. So that is Mont Verde Moonstone. Next we have Diamine Sepia. And sepia? I feel like I've asked this before, whether or not I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then I've completely forgotten, so I do apologize. Ooh, so this one is more of like an orangey brown, kind of reminding me of Caramel Sparkle. I like that though. I'm trying to be more open with the different inks that I'm using, especially browns. I feel like I'm in my brown era at the moment, and I'm gonna embrace that. So a Diamine, actually let's do these first. Let's see how the line widths are. Oh, pretty. Reminds me a little bit of that Octopus Fluids Caramel that I swatched a little while ago. So a Diamine. Now the hard thing with doing these is that you can't really tell whether an ink is too dry or not. But this one so far seems like it would be good. Oh, look at the shading that's happening there. That is beautiful. So that is Diamine Sepia. Next in the browns, we have Diatrus Document Brown. And I think I got this partly for painting as well. And I think it was Katie who actually recommended like getting a brown ink to do like, you know, the line washes with. So it's a little more subtle than just a straight black ink, and really good for painting. So I'm excited to use it for that purpose. Let's put some on my nib here. And already you can see there's so much ink that gets on that nib holder, but that's because it's a lower amount of ink, so you really have to get in there. So this is Diatrus. Gosh, that's very wet. Document Brown. That is coming off there very thick, and I think I might have just too much on there, but I like that color. I do like that brown. Yes, it's warmer than Moonstone. I feel like Moonstone is more leaning towards the gray. This one is definitely warmer than the Moonstone, but I do really like that. So that is Diatrus Document Brown. And the last ink is Diamine Chocolate Brown. I had a really hard time choosing these browns because you guys had recommended so many great ones, but this is actually kind of why I went with the Goulet pen samples, was because they are 2 mils rather than 4 mils, so I wouldn't feel like I was using or purchasing way more than I could use. And ooh, I like that chocolate brown. It does look very fudgy. Now how is this going to write? Ooh, a little wet. So what, it looks more black in that figure 8, and then there we go. In the line widths. Yeah, so Diamine. Gosh, my writing. Chocolate Brown is a winner. I like that. I like that. Who thought I'd get into brown inks? But I really like that. Yes, on the swatch, it's going to be a lot darker, and even in the finer lines, it's going to be darker, but I like it. There's just like that tiny bit of shading, makes it just that bit more interesting. So Diamine Chocolate Brown. So just a quick close-up of all the inks. You have Diamine One More Sleep. It's a really pretty blurple, and I've used it in a pen before, and I really liked the way that it performed. Then you have Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio, which is kind of a darker blue leaning to teal a little bit, and then you've got a little bit of the red sheen there. It's a pen, or it's an ink that I use to test out in all of my new pens. Then we have Noodler's Cactus Fruit Eel. I wasn't sure how I would feel about this, but I think I'm going to keep this and give it a try, maybe in my May Currently Inked, or at least in June's 30 Inks 30 Days. And then we have Sailor Ink Studio 230. This started off looking more, I guess, orange, but now it looks more pink the more that I look at it. So I don't know. And there's a tiny bit of gold sheen as well pooling on the corners. Then we have Noodler's Burgundy. I decided not to keep this one just because it feels a little bit similar to Diamine Tyrian Purple, or even Noodler's, what is it, Majora, I can't remember the name of that ink in particular, but it was too similar to something that I've had already. Then we have Diamine Autumn Oak. I'm actually giving this sample away as well because I am going to be receiving a bottle of this shortly, but it's still such a pretty orange. Then we have over here Verde Purple Rain. This one I also decided to give away just because I've already tried it. I've explored the ink and it's not one that I feel I need to explore any further. And I'm trying to make things simpler on myself in terms of what I am acquiring. So if I know that I'm not that interested in exploring further, why am I going to keep it? It's not one of those things where I'm like, maybe just in case. No, I will just give it away. And then we have Colorverse Permanent Black. This one I'm going to keep for, you know, line washes or paintings. And I think it'd be interesting to try different permanent blacks that are out there. Then we now have the browns, Monteverde Moonstone. I really like this one. I mean, you don't see a lot of the shading in the swatch or even in the writing sample, but I love the different line widths of this one. Then we have Diamine Sepia, which is the most orange out of all of the browns that I have, but I do really like it and I do want to give that a try. Then we have Diatrus Document Brown, a really good one that I think will be very, very useful for paintings and line washes. Then lastly, Diamine Chocolate Brown. I feel like this one is a really good, I guess, step up from a professional black to something with a little bit more interest. So there is my haul from GouletPens. I do have to say, I am a little bit disappointed in the random sample pack, and I'm very grateful to get 8 ink samples for free to try. But this is the thing with me personally, if I'm going to purchase inks, I want to pick them myself. So it feels a little bit counterproductive that I've gone for a random sample pack when I don't really like it on principle. But I mean, I do have a couple that I'm going to try. You've got the Sailor Ink Studio 230 and Cactus Fruit Eel, and then I'm going to give that Colorverse Permanent Black a try. Gosh, that doesn't seem like a great number, does it? 3 out of the 8 that I am going to keep. And then we have Monteverde Moonstone Sepia, or Diamine Sepia, Diatrus Document Brown. Gosh, I cannot speak. And then Diamine Chocolate Brown. Really happy with the browns that I chose. All right, but that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching and have yourselves a great day.